Episode 6. The Banquet. It had been 3 months since then, and Oqkburn City had finally welcomed the long-awaited examination of Wintervale Marshall Mansion to recruit students. In the past, the young generations of Oqkburn City had to head to the imperial capital for taking part in the examination of high-class Marshall mansions. However, Wintervale Marshall Mansion came to Oqkburn City in order to recruit students this year. It was a glamorous event for the entire Oqkburn City. And what was even more inspiring was that Wintervale Marshall Mansion's examination was being held at the mansion of Castillo family, and also at the birthday banquet of the Castillo family's eldest daughter, Jocelyn. This is really amazing. I never thought that the Castillo family would actually be related to one of the 5 great colleges in the Holy Star Kingdom. Is the era led by Castillo family in Oqkburn City coming? Guests could be heard talking about the major event. Maybe. Whoever builds a good relationship with Wintervale Marshall Mansion will naturally prosper forever in the future. Let's go to the mansion of Castillo family to have a look. I wonder how many young geniuses of Young Sect College will successfully pass the examination of Wintervale Marshall Mansion. The 4 great geniuses will surely be able to pass the examination. You're wrong, there are only 3 great geniuses now. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that there was one disabled person. The chatter continued, and amidst the excitement of the audience, Jocelyn's birthday banquet quietly kicked off. It was almost noon, and Castillo family's house was already full of guests. As a top-notch family in Oqkburn City, Castillo family had a formidable reputation in the city. The decorations were luxurious, and the area of the Castillo family's mansion was enormous. A brand new red carpet directly spread out from the Castillo family's gate into the front courtyard. In order to cater to this year's student assessment of Wintervale Marshall Mansion, the Castillo family had specially altered the front courtyard into a wide path pillar. In the center of the path pillar, there was a square platform that was over 50 meters in length and width, which showed great majesty. There was a hubbub of voices in the mansion, and it was bustling with noise and excitement. A magnificent grandstand was also built in the upper part of the central platform. On the grandstand, 4 people with extraordinary vitality were sitting on comfortable and wide chairs. At a glance, only these 4 people had the qualification to sit on those chairs. The crowd below the arena discussed animatedly, and all of them had expressions of reverence on their faces. The one seated to the far left was the patriarch of Mason family, Emmanuel Mason. Around 40 years old, his hands were placed horizontally on both sides of the wide chair, and his expression was especially calm. Next to Emmanuel was a middle-aged man in a long robe, and he seemed as old as Emmanuel. With his deep gaze, it could be seen that he wasn't an ordinary person. It was the patriarch of West family, Gilbert West. At the far right was an old man in his 50s or 60s. 2 iron balls were rotating in a uniform speed in his palm, giving off a feeling of steadiness, like mountains. He was the master of the Young Sect College, Jackson Cole. And the heroic and extraordinary middle-aged man who sat in the very middle of the 4 of them was the patriarch of the Castillo family, Adrian Castillo. He sat upright on the wide chair, and the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. For Adrian, the event today was not merely the birthday celebration of his beloved daughter, Jocelyn. Guests had arrived, and salutes were firing in unison. The joyous atmosphere pervaded every corner of the Castillo family. However, at this very moment, the ones who attracted the most attention were not the 3 patriarchs and the Young Sect's master. Instead, they were the 2 young men who were respectively located beside the patriarch of West family and that of Mason family. Many of the surrounding girls looked at the 2 with infatuation. As this year's number 1 genius of the Young Sect, no matter where Lucas went, he would always be the focus of attention. He was in high and vigorous spirits, and his valiant brows were full of arrogance and haughtiness. Oscar Mason was cold and cool, and he seldom smiled. His proud and aloof temperament were like an eagle on the prairie. Suddenly, the crowd below the arena burst into an uproar as all gazes swept towards the same spot. Under various envious gazes, a young girl with an elegant, refined, and noble temperament walked out from the inner courtyard of the Castillo family. Jocelyn was the eldest daughter of the Castillo family and was one of the 4 great geniuses of Young Sect College. She possessed extremely high popularity. Adding to the fact that today was her 16th birthday, her appearance on the scene gave off an amazing feeling. "Jocelyn, come here to meet the 2 patriarchs and the headmaster," the patriarch of Castillo family said with a bland smile. Jocelyn's mouth revealed a charming smile. She gently walked to the stand and politely bowed as she said, "Welcome, Uncle West. Uncle Mason. Principal, sir." "Jocelyn, there's no need to be so polite." Gilbert slightly raised his hand and laughed. "Little Jocelyn?" Young Sex Master Jackson Cole waved his hand and said, "Come here, I have a present for you." As soon as he finished speaking, Jackson took out an exquisite brocade box and opened it. Accompanied by a burst of seductive fragrance, a dark red pill appeared in everyone's line of sight. "Stareth pill," Adrian Castillo frowned and could not help but blurt out. When they heard the words "Stareth pill," the surrounding people all had expressions of shock on their faces. Jackson Cole squinted his eyes, and a pleased smile appeared on his face. "Little you, this Stareth pill is enough for you to break through your essence mastering stage in half a year, so you'd better do your best." Jocelyn was ecstatic. "Thank you for your gift, and I will definitely not disappoint you." "Good girl." Amid the countless envious gazes from the audiences below the arena, Jocelyn received the pill from Principal Cole and stood next to the patriarch of the Castillo family, Adrian. It was also at this time that Lucas, who was not far away, walked over to her and laughed faintly with some interest, saying, "Miss Jocelyn, that cripple hasn't come to you, right?" Jocelyn frowned slightly and casually replied, "Of course." "Aha!" Lucas laughed complacently. "A cripple with broken arms and legs will probably not be able to crawl through the gate of the Castillo family." The atmosphere of joy kept growing. As for the second daughter of Castillo family, Erin, who was standing at the side, she was completely depressed, and her eyes were especially complicated as she looked at her elder sister, Jocelyn, who was like a myriad of stars surrounding the moon. "Brother David, where exactly are you?" Erin bit her lips lightly, worry showing on her beautiful face. Very soon, almost all the famous people in Oqkburn City reached the Castillo family. Now, only Patriarch Lewis Hamilton of General's Mansion isn't here. People of General's Mansion would definitely not come here, because the crippled David brought shame on General's Mansion by being related to the scandal. If Lewis comes here, he will be definitely humiliated. That's right, aha! The General's Mansion that everyone was talking about had also a great influence in Oqkburn City, and David had been adopted by the General's Mansion since he was young. Originally, the Patriarch of General's Mansion should have been present personally on today's occasion. However, not only did Patriarch Lewis had not come, not a single person from General's Mansion had. The reason for this was naturally because of David. In the eyes of the entire Oqkburn City, David was just a humiliated cripple who had lost face. Abruptly, a resonant and passionate whistle of an eagle echoed in the air above the Castillo family. Everyone in the crowd was shocked as they all raised their heads to look at the sky. Everyone's pupils contracted as they saw an imposing yet domineering gigantic white condor flying towards them from the clouds in the horizon. This giant condor was completely white, without a single mixed feather. It spread its wings that were 100 meters wide, moving like a stream of light, and it seemed to be able to trigger the wind and thunder. The aura it emitted directly suppressed the entire audiences. "It's the level 9 spiritual beast, Extreme Edge White Eagle!" An exclamation came from the crowd below. "Looks like the people from Wintervale Marshall Mansion have arrived." "How impressive! They are coming by riding on the level 9 spiritual beast. It is indeed worthy of being titled Wintervale Marshall Mansion." Everyone stood up at the same time. They all looked at the awe-inspiring Extreme Edge White Eagle with solemn anticipation on their faces. Accompanying the huge black figure that was moving swiftly on the ground of the Oqkburn City The white condor reached the air above the Castillo family in the blink of an eye. On the back of the white condor, there were more than 20 sharp silhouettes with extraordinary auras. The person leading them was a middle-aged man in his 30s. He looked down at the crowd below with a faint, arrogant smile on his face. The white condor drew an elegant arc in the sky and then landed steadily on the square platform in the center of the Castillo family front courtyard. A powerful shockwave, accompanied by a majestic aura, swept out in all directions. The surrounding crowd was shaken and they were forced to retreat. "Mentor Reginald, it's definitely a gracious presence. I've failed to meet you." Adrian Castillo immediately welcomed him with a smile, and his was especially warm. "Patriarch Castillo." The middle-aged man on top of the white condor smiled, then led the crowd to leap off the stage. He turned to the white condor and said, "Wait for my order in the forest outside the city." The white eagle let out a low and deep whistle, then opened its wings once more. Under the surprised gazes of the crowd, it rose into the air and disappeared above the Castillo family. So powerful. This is the first time I have seen a spiritual beast being tamed so obediently. It's even a level 9 spiritual beast. Wintervale Marshall Mansion is indeed extraordinary. After hearing the exclamations and discussions of the people around them, the people from Wintervale Marshall Mansion felt a sense of superiority. "Thank you for traveling all the way here, Mentor Reginald. Please take a seat." Adrian politely received the group of people from Wintervale Marshall Mansion personally. Young Sex Master Cole also went up to greet him. "Aha, Mentor Reginald. Long time no see, and you are still powerful." "Principal Cole, you are getting stronger and stronger. Aha!" One was a mentor, and the other was the dean. But Young Sect College and Wintervale Marshall Mansion could not be compared in the slightest. Jackson Cole had to keep a low profile even as the dean in front of Reginald. Patriarch of West family and Patriarch of Mason family also stepped forward and gave a simple greeting. After that, Reginald dignifiedly took a seat between Adrian and Jackson. From the arrangement of the seats, it could be seen that Reginald and Jackson Cole were almost equal in status. To be able to sit on equal footing was sufficient to show the respect Castillo family had for the Wintervale Marshall Mansion. "Patriarch Castillo, it is said that today is the birthday of your precious daughter. Why not hold the banquet for her first, and then we can proceed with the assessment?" Reginald said. "How polite is Mentor Reginald." Adrian waved his hand, shook his head, and said, "The Wintervale Marshall Mansion assessment is a major event that will attract the attention of the entire Oqkburn city. Let's finish this first, and then everyone can happily relax." As soon as he said that, it attracted the approval of countless people around him. One had to know that the reason why a vast majority of people had come here today was all to discuss the matter of the examination to recruit students into the Wintervale Marshall Mansion. In the past, all the young geniuses of the Oqkburn city would personally head to the imperial capital to participate in the examination of the high-class Marshall Mansions. It was rare for someone from the Wintervale Marshall Mansion to personally come to Oqkburn City this year. Since that's the case, let's take the examination first. Reginald did not insist. His voice paused for a while, and his gaze turned towards the master of Young Sect College, Jackson Cole, beside him, and continued, "However, before the assessment, I have one more thing to announce." Everyone was startled. On the spacious street of the Oqkburn city, a tall and handsome youth raised his head to look at the white condor that had disappeared into the clouds. The youth was dressed in black clothes, and his firm and unswerving outline was as if it was carved by a knife. Then the young man's gaze turned to the front. On the board on top of the dignified gate, the two words, Castillo Mansion, exuded a solemn and mighty aura. The corner of the youth's mouth curled into an indifferent arc, and there was a hidden violet light showing sharpness in his icy, cold eyes.